Hey everybody, part two. I'm so sorry. I have no idea what's going on. I think I got frozen. Shawna was talking. I was still talking, but we weren't talking to each other.
That was
So,
not happening.
oh Lord. Okay, so we are going to move forward. Thank goodness we are still working out the kinks. So we'll get this all worked out soon. But I'm going to back up just a little bit, not to lose our mojo or train of thought. But you were sharing with us just about how you could make the move and the change and things like that for Gavin and yourself and your family. How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, we just along the way, the great thing about the home therapy was that we were there and we learned a lot of the skills. So we learned what helps Gavin essentially process things. And a lot of that are these things called social stories where you map out what is going to happen. So essentially, you take a picture of our house and you write a story about how we're not going to live here anymore because it rained inside. And then you take a picture of the hotel and say, but this is where we're going to live. And there's a pool. And each page kind of models what's going on and why it's happening. So he can kind of frame that in his mind.
That is so cool. That is a great technique. And is that something you guys have done for a while now?
For so many things. Yeah, like flying on airplanes, starting a new school. We moved schools this year. So social stories are, and it's really interesting because we have picked up that sometimes the social story also helps Kendall. So I think it's a way, and this is what we've learned through all of Gavin's therapy, is that it actually helps so many other children too. And so a lot of times people are grateful that Gavin's in the classroom because their child is getting these other ways to kind of think and process.
Oh, that is so cool because we all learn differently, even as adults. So I understand the advantage of that. That's great. So I'm gonna throw out a question that we often ask our guests, but how do you push through fear? How do you deal with fear?
Yeah, I think it goes back to, channeling Gavin. Like every day is a challenge for that kid. So even though he is quote unquote more typical functioning, I know that he struggles and I know that there are days that he just can't process like everybody else. And so I think having gone through this for almost 5 years now, I've learned there's nothing that like we really can't take on. And that no matter how scary it is, like this kid every day fights a world that doesn't understand how he thinks. And so I think he's just my 6-year-old motivator.
Oh, that is so sweet. Absolutely. What is one unexpected thing that you've learned throughout this journey that you look back on and you're like, I would have never probably realized this had I not been, the path that I'm on?
Whew. Yeah, I think that I mean, probably goes back to fear that I didn't have to be as scared. I wrote a blog a really long time ago about this post that I read called My Trip to Holland. And essentially, it's talking about how you read these baby books and you plan for everything. And then you get a child or you're planning for your trip to Italy, but you end up in Holland. And that map doesn't work because that's not the trip you planned. And you read this baby book and this is not the child that you were expecting. And just how easy it actually is to rewrite that roadmap. And I think that at the beginning, everything seems so scary, and you cannot Google it. You cannot WebMD this stuff because you will cry and you will feel overwhelmed. And I think that it's focusing on your child and how he or she is learning is really the important thing that I think I couldn't see at the time. But looking back now, I wish I could just kind of have focused a little bit more.
Oh, that is such a great piece of advice for new parents and new moms going through things at the very beginning. I mean, Google can be your worst and best friend. So,
Absolutely. And the pregnancy books, like, geez, they're everything. Yeah. So, staying focused on the now and not overdoing the research part.
oh, that's so good. And what did you say that blog post was? Is it posted on your blog?
It's on my blog, yes. So it's called Italy on my blog, but the original post or the original story is called My Trip to Holland. So we can link up my blog in the description.
Yeah, no, that would be perfect. I think that would be really helpful. Now, is that the book that you talked about as well when you referred to the post?
So it's just a little story that this woman had written. Yeah, it's not in a book. Like the books I read were just, all the pregnancy books that teach you everything about the kids that's not what he was. He was not the child that I was prepared for.
Oh, what are some of Gavin's favorite things to do?
Yeah, so Gavin is obsessed with Nintendo. His mind works a lot in computers. He's super smart. math, I mean, that kid he's just a genius in that sense. He loves his sister, idolizes her. She does not always reciprocate. But it's a really cute, loving relationship that he has with her. Yeah,
Almost
he's
the brother thing where you're kind of like, you're my best friend. Let's stay away.
exactly, yeah. I mean, for the most part, typical boy kid. He loves his cars. He loves playing, just with all of his friends. And math and computers, though, I'm convinced this is going to be a STEM child for sure. So
Oh, that's so sweet. And so I just, I'm going to end up giving you the red bra question. So can you share with us, I guess, one time that comes to mind, or several times, if that works, where you had to bust out your bread cape, your red bra, and
yeah,
push through?
I mean, that one's easy for me. So when Gavin was, oh gosh, 4, maybe, God, 3 or 4. I don't know how I forgot the time. So much time's gone by now. But we took him to a haircut place that, even though I have named them before, I will not name tonight. You can look on my blog. That refused to cut his hair because he was scared of the clippers and everything. And they said he made too much of a scene there. And so of course, I took to social media and was like, I'm outraged by this, and just the outpouring of support. People still now will send me, hey, this hair person in Australia does this. You should go see them. But it was a moment where I just was like, no, this is not okay. The company contacted me. They offered me free haircuts. It's not what I wanted. I told them what I wanted was training for their staff, on how, because essentially I never wanted another family to go through what we went through. And so I didn't need free haircuts from them. That's not what I was looking for. I was never going back, but I didn't want another family to go there and experience that. And so I felt like that was my moment where I put on my cape and I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not letting other people feel the way that we felt today. And just, man, did my village come behind me and are still behind me when they see things. And so that was a really empowering moment.
Oh, I can feel it. I can feel it through there. That is just amazing. So that's great. I mean, you're going right into the next thing. How do you empower others, and not just women, but parents going through this? Like, what do you do?
I think by sharing, just that I'm not afraid to say, like, I'm struggling today, or, I just keep it really real and try and be as human as possible. And I really try and listen to. I never want to dominate the conversation and be like, oh, well, that's going on. I lost my house. I have this child with autism. I never want that to be me. And so I think that that's how I encourage others to be cheerleaders for everybody, because I just think that we can't be so focused on our own issues that we'll never get anywhere if we don't support one another. And so I try and not bring everybody down while I share, but I'm human, and I also reciprocate the listening.
Oh my gosh! Here, a little part. It looks like it's all misshaped, but you are incredible. And I mean, you're sitting here talking to me in a hotel with your family, and still the show must go on. And your house is TBA, pretty much.
It's destroyed. It's a disaster. Again, a story for another day.
You are incredible, girl. Thank you so, so much for sharing this story. And as Shawna mentioned, if anybody has questions, she is open to chatting and guiding and giving any tips or anything along the way. And we'll put all the contact info in tomorrow's information. So this is really random, Shawna, but I wanted to ask you, have you ever heard of, and I apologize if I pronounced her last name incorrectly, but Temple Grandin?
So I know that there is a movie and a story, and I have now watched it. Sometimes it's really hard for me to watch autism things. One, because I almost feel guilty on how successful Gavin has been. It's a weird parent thing. So yeah, I know who she is, but I have not done a lot of research on her.
Okay. So the random thing that happened is just in January, I was on a sister's trip. We were in Nashville, walked into this children's bookstore. It was amazing. We were shopping for our nieces, and I went right to this book, and it said on the outside, something about she could only understand stories through pictures or something. And I opened it up and started reading it. I've never heard of her. And I came home and I was telling Eric about her, and we ended up watching the movie. And it's an incredible movie that talks about this woman who went on, she's 70 now, but she was one of the first individuals to stand up and speak about an autism experience through her eyes and heart. It was incredible. So I wanted to throw that out there for anybody who's looking, while you're snowed in this weekend, looking for a movie. So
I should watch it. I know it's Claire Danes, right? Plays her in the movie, I believe.
pop culture.
Okay, all right. Oh, sorry. I do know what you're referencing. It's just, yeah.
Oh, so anyway, well, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Yeah, well, I'm here every night anyways, but
unless if we freeze and we fall off.
Right. No, thank you for letting me share. I think it really is important for our guests to see us, kind of playing these roles as well. And so I hope that through all of the glitches tonight, you guys stuck around, and if not, you're catching us on the replay. We really appreciate everybody that has been so supportive. Like, I feel like every week I get more and more excited about just this tribe that we are building. And so I know that Renee and I both would appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, if you hit the like button. You can follow all of our information on our Instagram page. And we're so excited about this empowerment movement that is starting.
Absolutely. Yes. And as always, share our stuff with anybody who may need it, because that's why we're all putting it out there.
All right. Well, I apologize for all the glitches. I don't have a fancy quote for tonight. I try and think about, just with Gavin all the time, how incredible that boy is. And so I think if there is something that you're questioning about your child, absolutely reach out to me. I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I'm a parent. And so in that sense, I get what you're feeling.
Absolutely. All right, girl. I love you. Stay warm out there.
Love you. I'll try.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.